Is everybody in? Is everybody in? Is everybody in? The ceremony is about to begin.
This is very real.
Fantastic.
This drug is dangerous.
Wrong.
You cannot play with it. It's not funny. It's not something to laugh about. Good people don't smoke marijuana.
Shut your little punk ass up.
But the more you hate me, the more you will learn.
Welcome to the Autoflower Podcast. I'm your host, Chad. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I greatly appreciate it. I apologize for not dropping an episode last week. COVID actually ended up kind of coming and knocking at the door here and took out 5 of us out of 6 of us. So we're doing better now. I'm on day 9. The rest of my family is on like day 11 or something like that, I think. And so I'm the last one to recover. It's just really this fatigue, man. This fatigue is just killing me. It's driving me nuts. I'm having a hard time getting back to my normal self with my normal energy supply. So thank you guys for all of those who have reached out and showed your concern for me. I appreciate it. It makes me feel loved, man. This week we've got the big green guy with us. He is a grower on Instagram. He also runs Green Guy Genetics. He's sponsored by Firebuzz Genetics, TMB Naturals, and Photon Tech Lighting. He's a great grower. He's a great guy. I can't wait to get into this conversation. Before we do, let me remind you to follow the podcast on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And there's also a website, if you didn't know, autoflowerpodcast.com. You can go there and check that out as well. So let's go ahead and get right into our conversation with the big green guy. Please help me in welcoming him to the Autoflower Podcast.
From a friend of mine, and I started growing outside in the summer of 2019. So it's been about 2 years now, and he gave me 3 plants, and I planted them like a fool right in the middle of my yard. I didn't really know that wasn't supposed to be the way it was, done. It's legal up here, so it's not, that wasn't the problem. But when people can drive by and see right into your yard, it's probably not a great idea. So those plants became massive. I mean, they were clones, but they were like big clones. They were over 3 feet tall a piece. He had, vegged them indoors and then gave them to me. And I ended up netting almost 3 pounds off of those 3 outdoor plants, and I was hooked from that point forward.
Damn.
So I had decided, after speaking with my wife, she suffers from crippling anxiety, so I wanted to grow for her. I wanted to find something that helps. And one thing, actually, your Paul and Chuck Hayes has been a life send to her. She loves it. It's her favorite or go-to. She smokes it all the time, so thank you for that. And
that's awesome to hear, man. That's the one that I go to right now as well.
Yeah, she likes it because it's functional during the day, and then she has something a little heavier at night that she smokes, but it's definitely her go-to during the day, and it helps her a tremendous amount. So
that's so cool.
So I do appreciate you creating that. And so anyway, in November, I decided, after speaking with her, that I wanted to grow indoors. So we had a closet in our bedroom that we really weren't utilizing. It was about 3.5 by 4 feet, which is, a decent space to get started in. And I decided I'm going to go with the autoflower after doing a lot of research. I didn't have the ability to really create a light, tight environment, and I was really trying to grow on a budget. The stuff that I had grown outside, it came out decent, but it wasn't really like awesome, So I wanted to, that was enough to kind of to get us through until I was able to, start getting the autoflower thing going. And I started with 3 Girl Scout cookies and a Girl Scout cookie glue. I grew them in there, and I netted, I think, around 11 ounces when I finally harvested, which I thought, that was fantastic. That's, indoors. I'd never done it before. Outdoors, I just planted them in the garden, and they did their thing.
Right.
I'd water them every now and then if it had been dry for a few days, but I didn't amend it. I did very minimal training. I really didn't know what the heck I was doing, but it was a nice learning curve to get to where I was. And then So I harvested the first harvest, and then I decided I wanted to try to do 6 plants in there the next time, and that was way too many. They got gigantic. And I don't really 100% remember what that second round of plants was. It's been a while. I have all that stuff written down. I take pretty good notes as far as whenever I'm planting something new, how long it takes to actually show sex if it's a regular seed, when it starts flowering, and then when I'm harvesting, what the harvest weight is. I try to keep all that kind of record so I know if it's something I want to grow again. But around that second harvest was actually when I discovered the Autoflower podcast, and I started listening to you, and actually it was you and Dan the very first thing, and I must have listened to that first episode 100 times. So when your count went up around that time, that was me re-listening to that over. And I was learning. I had, up to that point, I had probably spent, I don't know, hundreds of hours watching videos and reading books and doing all that because I wanted to get better and better and improve. And I had started my Instagram page, The Big Green Guy, right around that time, and had posted my outdoor grow, and I had started posting some of my indoor grow just to kind of document it for myself. And then over the summer, I had planted some more plants outside, but then we moved midsummer. So I ended up giving all those, they were in pots at that time, so I could kind of hide them along the tree line and whatnot. But I ended up giving away most of those plants. I did have some inside that I moved into our new house. That's where things really have gotten to where they are now, which I'm doing a perpetual harvest. So on a weekly basis, I harvest between 3 to 5 plants. And I have more cannabis than I know what to do with on most.
So you got a perpetual harvest. So you're harvesting, what did you say, 3 to 5 plants a week?
Between 3 and 5 plants a week on average. I mean, sometimes depending upon if I've missed a week of actually planting seeds, or if I have a seed that goes 90 days instead of 80 days, it'll be, some of them will push into 1 week. So I might have one where I only do 1 or 2 plants a week, and then the next week I'll do 5. And then, it could jump around like that.
So how many, are you growing most of these indoors, or are you growing both, outdoors and indoors?
They're all indoors. We live right on a main street, so I don't want to have the plants outside. The aromas, we'll say, would definitely attract people that I don't want coming in my yard.
Understandable.
So they're all indoors. And then it was actually sometime I think it was May of last year. So May of 2020 when I actually started breeding. And I actually used Bobby's Widow as the male for a project that I wanted to do, because my wife really liked the strawberry cheesecake that a buddy of mine had created. She liked the effects of it, but it took a really long time to finish. It was over 100 days. So I figured, I can take Bobby, mix it with that, and hopefully bring that down. And I've been able to, it's at an F3 now. And I've been able to actually really shorten that time frame down to where it's about 75 to 80 days. And that's kind of perfect for growing, as far as in autoflower, I feel, if you can harvest an autoflower every 2.5 months, then, heck yeah, you should be doing pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
So yeah, that pretty much brings us, and I've expanded. I've been doing more breeding projects and things, and I'm pretty excited actually where I am right now as far as the development of some of those. I just harvested 3 new crosses that I've created on the F2 part of that now, and I have a team that's been testing them, and it's pretty cool.
Nice.
I've been really enjoying that process and the hunt, and so I think that's the most exciting part, and you pop, I've been able to do 100 seeds at a time, and then watch those plants grow up, and I don't like how this one looks, I'll get rid of it. I don't like how this one looks, I'll get rid of it. And some of those mutants I probably should keep to see what they become, but when you're dealing with that many plants, I try to get down to what I'm really looking for prior to continuing on with that. Maybe someday I can go back and look for those mutant ones again, but not right now.
Man, I wish I can pop 100 at a time. That would be awesome, dude. I mean, I'll pop like 20, 25, but so I'm doing these tiny little, it's not really a true pheno hunt even, I don't think, I'm just, because I'm only allowed to grow so much.
Right. I think at 20, I think is really when you start to get to a point where you can see the expressions. You see a lot more females, you see a
Yeah,
lot more males, and I think you can really start to narrow it down if you're doing at least 20. 100 is
that would be
almost too
nice.
many.
That would be
Um,
nice though. Because even when you hunt down, like, because if I pop, like, so I just took my Paul and Chuck Hayes to the second generation, and
oh, nice.
so I guess that's
I
F2,
need
right?
some of those.
Yeah, man, yeah, I've got a bunch of them actually. So I'm
Awesome.
still sifting through them all and stuff, but it's taken me so long with this strain to do anything. I mean, it started out as obviously a Paul and Chuck
Right.
just thing, that's why I called it that. Um, but I like it so much, and I've gotten some feedback on it, so I'm trying to like tune it in to those certain that certain phenotype that I like. But when I pop
Right.
20 of them, like I'll get maybe 2 of those and that's it. And then so it's like I really only have those 2 good ones to choose from. I wish I can have like 10 or 15 good ones to choose from. You know what I mean? To really get it narrowed down
I
to what
do.
I
I
like.
do. What I've found is actually I'm able to, with doing 100, I'm really able to narrow it down to 2 or 3 really nice males, and then I try to only use one. So I wait until they're just about to start drop. I separate them, and then the one that drops first, he's not a candidate. I don't consider him a candidate. So it's
Mm.
actually the second one that drops. That's the one that I like to use.
Okay.
I do the stem rub, and I'm obviously looking for other things as well from all of the different males that I keep. But when I find the ones that I'm really looking for and the ones that are expressing, ones that are throwing trichomes early, and
Mm-hmm.
for a male, it's sometimes you don't see any like that. So when I do, I'll get excited and I'm like, oh, maybe this is the one. And then you stem
Yeah.
rub and it smells like baby puke in a diaper, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's the one I want to use.
Uh,
So the females, obviously, they're a little easier to see. You're looking, the same thing with both. You look for structure and you do all that kind of stuff, of
right.
course. But, I think it's hard with autoflowers, too, because you can't repeat it. So you get a female and you find, oh, this female is the perfect female. You may never see her again. And that's what I
Right.
find, fascinating with the whole thing. But I actually try to get down to about 6 females by the end, and I've given away all the rest of the females that I haven't culled, and obviously all the males have gotten culled. But yeah, the whole process of breeding has been fantastic. The testing of it to see what these things can actually take. Throwing them outside when it's 30 degrees at night, and then you bring them back in, and the next day they're preying again. You're like, wow. And they don't herm, or they don't throw intersex or anything like that. And you're
Yeah.
like, this is awesome. It's exciting to see that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's super fun, man. Like I love, like I started doing it just to create my own seeds,
Right. Well,
That's
that's
well, I
exactly
mean,
what
that's
I did
yeah.
with the
Go ahead.
bobbies and the strawberry cheesecake, which I've named funeral desserts. FD for short, which is kind of a nod to full duplex.
That's awesome.
And I obviously I talked with Dan before, moving forward with anything like that, and he was on board with it. He said, yeah, hell yeah, do it. And so I really appreciate. Shout out to full duplex.
Yeah, he's cool like that.
Yeah, and I did the same thing. I actually, with the new crosses that I created, I used the Loki OG. And the big one that everybody's been excited and like contacting me through IG and stuff about has been what I'm calling Odin's Sons, which is a cross. I had the Thor's Hammer female, which I don't know earlier this year if you remember seeing her. She was a monster. She was about almost 4 feet tall, 4 feet wide. I got over 700 grams off of her in 110 days is what she went.
Wow.
And I hit her with some of the Loki OG pollen, which, Loki and Thor, it was a match made in heaven.
That's cool.
And yeah, the testing on those have come back. I have people actually harvesting their testing seeds right now. And one guy, Captain Knots on IG, he harvested 3 of them that went through some pretty rigorous testing on his own, and he ended up with just over a pound off of those 3 plants.
Damn,
so,
man.
Shout out to him. He killed it. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with the results on that one. And now I brought it to F2, and those are in the testing at the moment right now. So I'm pretty happy with those.
That's
exciting.
awesome, dude.
It's cool to see something like that, and then to get back smoke reports, and you're like, wow, this thing just, knocked me on my butt, and you're like, heck yeah, that's what I want to hear. And then other people come back saying, oh, yeah, the high was amazing, but it helped me with this pain that I've been having.
Oh,
And I'm
cool.
like, that's what it's about. It's the medicinal part of it, and that's what I love about the plant. It's I think the growing part is more therapeutic for myself than anything else.
Yeah, a lot of people say that, including myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Yeah, I think everybody should give a shot. If you've got some regular seeds or regular autos, man, I think everyone should give a shot at pollinating one or two and just experiencing it and seeing how it goes. And
absolutely.
You know what I mean? Opening up the seeds that you do get and just, it's just fun, dude. It's like in-home garage brewers who brew their own beer, it's just super fun. It's super cool. And then, people in the community share with one another. And I know that the gene pool some people don't like that, because I don't know, they say the gene pool can get dirty and stuff or whatever, but I don't know. I like it. And, I share my seeds and stuff, obviously, through Patreon. And sometimes I just send them out to people, when I get a wild hair at my butt and I just want to give some away. And,
right.
Or I'll give them away with shirts, and, it allows me to.
I sent out, I want to say 150 packs. It was just 3 packs of seeds to Dan and Firebuds out at the Cup, so they could give them out with anybody that came over to the booth, and they could just take some seeds. These are from the Big Green Guy, whatever. And,
oh, that's cool.
So yeah, I've actually gotten some feedback from some of the people there saying, "Hey, thanks a lot, I appreciate it," blah blah blah. And what is it, And I get to kind of meet some new people through that kind of experience. And I wanted to go to the Cup, and then I broke my leg, and that kind of took that out of the equation for me. But next year, definitely going to be there.
Awesome. Yeah, me too. I'm pretty bummed that I missed it. But it's all good, man. Next year.
Yeah.
Next year for sure. As long as there is one, I'm gonna try and make it the best I can.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully this newest thing of COVID that we're dealing with now doesn't last as long as the last one.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be really great. It kind of ruined a lot of stuff, unfortunately.
It's actually ruining new stuff now. We were supposed to go to a concert this upcoming Friday, and it's been postponed because one of the crew members or something has come down with COVID. That right? So they're quarantining. It's been rescheduled, so hopefully we do get to go to the show. But
that sucks, dude.
Yeah, that's a huge thing my wife and I love to do is go out to shows and see bands that are bucket list bands and things.
Yeah, for sure. What are a few of those bucket list bands?
Well, this particular show was supposed to be Stained, the band Stained, which I've never seen, and
totally,
then they were playing with Korn.
Okay.
Which Korn was my wife's, for our generation, I guess. Well, maybe I'm a little older than you, I think, but for our generation, all the girls were into New Kids on the Block back in the day. That was oh my God, New Kids on the Block. Well, she was into Korn. That was her New Kids on the Block. So
okay.
We've seen them a couple times together, and she's seen them a countless number of times. So,
New Kids on the Block. Color me bad. Do you remember that?
Hang in tough. Yeah, I remember all of those kind of songs.
That's so
back
funny.
In the day. NSYNC and Backstreet Boys and all these other kind of bands that the girls were into when I was in high school.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, man. So you're so growing indoors. Do you mind if I pick your brain about what your setup's like and stuff? What do you use as far as a tent, or what size tent are you growing in? And are you doing this perpetual grow in one single tent?
So right now I actually have I have the skeleton of a 4x8 tent set up. So I don't have the actual tent part.
Mm-hmm.
And I do that so I can actually set up outside of the framework as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have a 2-in-1 tent that has a 4x4 area and then a shelf on the side with basically a 1x4 area up top and down bottom. So I germinate the seeds up top under it's actually a dirty green Key quantum board. It's a new light that he's coming out with. I don't know if you're familiar with Dirty Green Key. Good
No,
guy.
I don't think so.
He has like his own website. He deals a lot with AC Infinity products, and he sells cob lighting and different things like that. Good guy. So anyway, I have that up top that I germinate my seeds under. So that's kind of like the baby area. From there, I move them down bottom underneath a light that I built myself, which is HLG quantum boards. And I have obviously the light up top is turned really down low because seedlings don't really need a lot of light being thrown at them at that time. And I think I may actually move that light down bottom because it's a little too powerful for the area, and then just get a T5 for up top. But that's in the future.
A T5, so that's like a fluorescent, right? Like a fluorescent light,
yeah. Yeah, because it's good. I've been experimenting with doing some cloning and stuff of some photo periods. I'm trying to get that down. I've only had 2 successful clones so far out of I don't know how many I've tried to take. So that's like a whole new world that's opening up for me, which is interesting. But anyway, so once they get into the bottom area down there, I let them veg for about 2 more weeks, and then they move into what I call like the mid-girl area. So in that bottom area, any regular seeds are going to sex at that time, and they can kill the males, and then fill in with other ones or whatever. Then they move over into the 4x4 area where I veg them out a little more. Once they usually can get through the stretch in that area, and I can train them out, and then I'll move them into the bigger area, which is basically like a 5x10 area. So all of this is set up in a single room, which is actually about 11x16, the whole room.
Okay.
So I have room to store the stuff in there and move stuff around, and
that's nice.
I'm growing in cocoa.
Okay.
And I use Mega Crop as my main nutrient.
Which one are you?
Flower. I use just the 1 part. I tried the 2 part, but with having as many plants as I have, it got too much. It's easier for me to take a half a scoop of something for the younger plants and then a full scoop for the bigger plants than it was like, I need to do an 1/8 of this and then a half of this and this. It was getting too much. And with the amount of plants that I'm growing, I didn't want to overwhelm myself. I wanted to keep it simple. Yeah. And I've had really good luck with Mega Crop. I've been using it for over 1.5 years, and I like it.
That's what I was using before I went like just water only with Nature's Living Soil.
Right. I actually have a 10-pound bag of Nature's Living Soil that I want to use, and I know I can use it in cocoa. I just haven't kind of pulled the trigger on using it yet. So I do want to use it. I'm going to use it, I promise.
I'm getting ready to test a bunch of stuff out, like hopefully soon with Nature's Living Soil, because like I've noticed that when I grow in like 3 to 5 gallon pots, I run out of nutrients. It's like it's not enough, and then you have to supplement. So I'm going to be doing some things. I think I'm going to get like a fat, like 25 gallon fabric pot, nice. Like a huge freaking pot, and just put like 1 autoflower in there, dude, and just see. It's like, okay, is that enough? Okay, what if we go down to like 15 and see where that sweet spot is? I mean, I can't nail it down totally accurate because different strains and different people are going to grow differently. But for the most part, I want to be able to like
way hungrier than others and that kind of
stuff. But 3 gallons for sure, just no way, dude. I haven't been able to grow even 1 plant really in a 3 gallon without running out of nutrients. And then 5 gallons, I usually run out as well. And so they've got the girl flower power and stuff like that. I just want to mess around. But I was going to get a second tint growing, I'm considering, because I've already got a second light. It's just it's been sitting and sealed up in the box. I haven't even opened it. It's the same the Mars Hydro TSL 2000. It's the exact light that I have. I bought another one a long time ago. But yeah, man. So I'm thinking about like getting a couple of tints and trying out some different stuff with Nature's Living Soil. But sorry, I didn't mean to rabbit trail off of what you were talking about.
No, that's fine. Not a problem at all. The biggest pot I've grown in is a 15 gallon. That was that Thor's Hammer was in a 15 gallon. I started with 5 seeds in there, figuring that I'd keep the most vigorous of the 5. And there were 2 females that were fighting neck and neck, for a while. And then one of them was just like, nope, I'm going to win. And I culled the other one and just let it go. And it definitely won.
That's
so I
awesome.
think 15 gallons is probably where you're going to find that sweet spot for almost anything, if,
Mm-hmm.
and then maybe you have to top dress with a tea or something, or I was going to ask you about that girl flower.
Mm-hmm.
Is it like girl flower power or something like that
Yeah, that's what it's called.
um, have you used that yet?
I've only used
Like
it
top
once.
dress? Yeah.
So I've only used it once, and it was in tea. And so,
Okay.
I can't really like review it quite yet,
Right.
I want to make sure that, but I'm cause I have a business relationship with Nature's Living Soil,
Right. I actually
with
used
my
your code when I
coupon
ordered
code and
from
stuff. Yeah. But I still want to I don't quite want to comment on it quite yet, you know what I mean?
you.
And
Right.
start trying to encourage others to get it, because I want to really only represent stuff that I truly like and believe in myself. So
Oh, I agree 100%.
their autoflower concentrate, I just love. I mean, I've used it so many times, dude. It's just,
Right.
it's just amazing. I just love it. And so I'm totally okay with encouraging others to try it out too and give them a coupon code. But with the girl flower power, I'm not sure. I can't say. What I can say is that I was in 3.9 gallon pots. Obviously I ran out. I ran out of nutrients. I knew I would, because I didn't mix it in the soil. I was trying to do a tea only grow. And so what I did is I grew in Fox Farm Ocean Forest just with perlite mixed in it, and that was it. And then I fed tea throughout its whole life. It was a pain in the butt. I probably won't do that again. I think teas are good, but I don't know about trying to make it the primary thing.
Right. Like
If I
all
would
the
have,
time.
yeah, if I would have mixed the Nature's Living soil in like I usually do and add tea, I think I would have been totally golden. But doing a tea only grow, but it did work. I mean, the girl flower power, that's where that really came in, and beefed the girls up a little bit. They weren't too dense, but it worked. And there was 4 plants, and I got 11 ounces off of that grow, in 3.9 gallon pots, which isn't too bad. And I wasn't even home. I was at my
Yeah.
grandma's just
Right.
caring for them on the weekends. Thank God for those auto pots.
Oh, no kidding.
But yeah, the girl flower power, it seems like it's cool, but I want to test it out another couple of times before I come to an actual, my own personal opinion on it or whatever.
Right. Right. No,
Yeah.
shameless plug. Autoflower podcast for 15%, right? 15% off.
Yeah, Autoflower Podcast 15. If you use that code at
There you go.
yeah,
No,
naturslivingsoil.com, man.
I've seen so many great things with it, and it's definitely something I want to try. I just haven't. I was actually just about to start doing it. I had things all set up. I was going to mix it in, and then I broke my leg.
Oh man.
So that's I've had to really simplify everything because I'm not even supposed to be on my leg. Technically not supposed to even be driving right now, but but I am. It'll be 6 weeks this Friday or this Saturday since it happened. So I go for a doctor's appointment on Friday, and then hopefully he gives me the okay to start putting more weight on it and stuff. I've lost 20 pounds, which is great.
Good for you, man.
But it's been muscle, so that's not great. But but now I can rebuild my body into something greater, right?
There you go.
Look at it. Yes, I don't know.
There you go.
I'm hoping the physical therapy part isn't too bad, but hey, it is what it is. Making the best of it. That's another thing that actually came out of it is I had created a cross using the Loki OG, the male that I had, and I crossed it to a purple rockberry, and it was the rockberry was amazing, just the color and the frost and everything. I'm like, I gotta hit a couple branches with this at least.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that, and I was growing some of those out when I broke my leg, and I had a mando fruit male that I really loved, and I'm going to collect some pollen from this and save it for later or something. Well, I ended up hitting one of those crosses, the F1 crosses, with that to make a new F1 cross, and I'm calling that one the broken leg if it's any good. So make light out of a situation or whatever. But they smell amazing, that cross already. So I'm hoping I'll cross our fingers on that.
Yeah, best of luck, man.
Yeah.
So back to the mega crop, is that well, I guess so. Back to your grow. So you told us what kind of what your setup looks like, and do you got carbon filters and stuff like that, or are you just growing in there? You have any kind of exhaust going anywhere?
I have 3 AC Infinity filters. In the we'll call it a 4x5 area, which is the 2-in-1 tent. I have, I just have a 4-inch with a carbon filter in there. That kind of just gets the air and stuff out of the tent. And then inside the room, I actually have 2 6-inch carbon filters. One that is basically just hooked up and pulling air through the carbon filter just to kind of reduce the smell a little bit. The other one is actually exhausting outside.
Oh, okay.
With a carbon filter on it,
Hey guys, I want to take a moment to tell you about Nature's Living Soil. They offer concentrates that you mix in with your typical potting soil like Roots Organic, Fox Farm, or Coast of Maine, any of those ones that you might use. It contains everything your plant needs from start to finish, unless of course you're growing in really small pots. But even then, you can top dress to supplement any deficiencies you may run into. Their concentrate is teeming with beneficial microorganisms and fungi that form a symbiotic relationship with your plant's roots. They have an autoflower specific concentrate, a regular concentrate for photoperiods, and also a flowering specific concentrate. I've been using the autoflower concentrate for quite a while now, and I love it. If you'd like to get yourself some, visit naturslivingsoil.com and use the coupon code AUTOFLOWERPODCAST15 to save 15% on your order. Now let's get back to the episode. Awesome. Yeah, I think I'm going to can I pick your brain on that a little bit? Because I've never purchased a fan or a carbon filter, and I'm not educated on it at all.
Okay.
And so I went on Amazon, searching around the other day, and I don't even know where to start, man. If I get a 2-foot by 4-foot tent, what type of fan and filter should I get? Do you think? What size?
I would go with you want a 4-inch. I wouldn't go much bigger than that. 4-inch is going to be plenty big enough for a 2x4 tent.
Okay.
And if you can, if budget, if there's budget restraints, then there's a lot of different fans out there and stuff. Is not the specific one that I would necessarily recommend over any others as far as the cheaper ones. But I wouldn't cheap out on the carbon filter. I like the AC Infinity ones. They seem to last a good while.
What is a good while, do you think?
I'm getting at least 11 months out of.
Oh, that's pretty good. Okay.
Before I start to notice, some kind of a smell or something like that. Now I've heard, and I want to do more research into them, but there are some that are out there, not by AC Infinity. It's a different company, and I can't off the top of my head think of it right now, but they actually have ones where you can refill the carbon in them and kind of recharge it. So you're not getting rid of that whole metal container. And that's really what I would like to do, because then it's more sustainable. I feel that way. If I can recharge the carbon that's in there. And again, it's something I'm just starting to look into now, so I don't have a lot of information on it. Now, if your budget isn't, if budget is not a concern, then I would 100% go with an AC Infinity fan. Either I think it's a T series, and then there's a TS series. One has the digital outlet. The other one just has a controller that goes from 1 to 10. I really like I think it's a TS series. Those ones have a digital controller you can set so that it will kick on or increase the airflow if the heat gets too high or the humidity gets too high. They also have an alarm on there, so if something is going a whack in your grow, it'll actually start to beep. So when you come near it, if you're within earshot of it, you'll hear it going off, and it alerts you that, hey, something's going on. Now, it's not Wi-Fi compatible or anything like that yet, but I believe that's something that they're working on, making it so that you can hook it up to your phone and through an app. But as far as filtration is concerned, I think the best filters out there are by a company called Can, which is I think it's CANN. Those I've used one in the past, but they're definitely on the pricier side. But they make huge filters. You can get a 4-foot tall filter and hook a 10-inch fan onto it, and they make gigantic. If you are doing just say a single room grow or whatever. But in a 2x4, for the majority of the people that are growing out there, maybe they have a 4x4 or whatever. If you're going 4x4, 5x5, I'd get a 6-inch.
Uh-huh.
2x4, I'd go with a 4-inch. And I kind of went off on a huge tangent there with
No,
everything.
that's good,
I
man,
hope
because I
that
need to
answers
hear all
your
this.
question.
No, I need to hear all this. Hopefully other people don't mind hearing it as well.
Yeah, well,
So like how much does one of those AC Infinity fans run? Is that like $100 or something? Like
I think you could get the fan part and the filter for probably around $120. For the one that doesn't have the digital controller, you're probably looking at around $100. I think the one with the digital controller is maybe $20 more.
Okay. I'll have to look
It really
around.
depends on what you're looking to spend. Again, you can just get a regular exhaust fan or intake fan or whatever, hook it up to the carbon filter, a cheaper one, and be just fine. Hook that into like an Inkbird controller or something like that, or even into just a timer where it kicks on every 15 minutes every hour, and you can figure out what you need it to do if you're looking to exhaust the heat, or if you're looking to just exhaust the smell, or if you're looking to just exhaust the humidity. You can adjust it and kind of tweak it to that if you don't want to invest in an Inkbird. That's kind of how I started, was I had just a timer, and I would have it kick on for about 15 minutes every hour. I found that helped control the heat. I didn't really care about the smell in the closet.
Mm-hmm.
It is what it was. It is what it is. I was more concerned with getting some of the heat out there without taking all the heat away from the plants, especially in the winter months.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the cheapest way to go, is just get one of those timers that you can set it so that it turns on every 15 minutes, or 15 minutes off, 15 minutes off, or whatever you find you need. You have to monitor it a little bit, but.
I was this is where I'm learning stuff, because I thought you just had to run those things 24/7.
Oh, no, not at all. No, you wouldn't want to really run it 24/7, because if you did, you may be sucking out too much heat. If if your lung room is, at a comfortable temperature for you to be sitting and living with it, then your plant may want a higher heat than that. And if you're constantly sucking all that heat out, or maybe your plant, if it's an early veg, you're going to want a higher RH than when it's in flower. If you're constantly sucking all that out, now you have to run a humidifier all the time. And that's why these controllers are, for what they do, I don't feel like they're really that expensive, and it's a one-time purchase most of the time.
Yeah.
I walk people through all the time, when they're trying to set up. I'm like, all right, what's your budget? That's the biggest thing, and I feel like at least 70% of your budget should go towards your lights and your genetics.
Yeah.
Because if you can nail those two, if you can get the best of the best you can afford in those two things, everything else you can actually get away with somewhat cheaper.
Right.
Of course you want, if you can have the best of everything, why not? But not everybody has that ability. And I think if you can just start growing, then do it. I mean, I started growing under a blurple light that cost me $60.
Same here. I started growing under CFL bulbs. And then I got a blurple and a 2x2 tint, and I never vented that thing. I never had a fan. The only fan I ended up having in there was a fan I ripped out of my computer.
Oh, wow.
And I just stuck it in there just to ventilate air. That's what I grew in for a long time.
Yeah. But that's just it. You're not going to get this top shelf, your quote unquote fire, like all the kids like to say. You're not going to get that. I feel so old when I say it like that. You're not going to get that growing under a blurple light with nothing else, if you can, but you can still get something it's going to be medicine for you. You're still going to get something out of it. You might have this little tiny plant that gives you an ounce, but you know what? You did that. You created that, and it's your first step.
Absolutely.
Now you don't have to go to a dispensary and spend, up here it's about $400 for an ounce. But you just saved yourself $400.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. That's expensive, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see that around here too, especially in Southern California. It can get really expensive for some top shelf, an ounce of top shelf flower. It could be outrageous.
Well, I wouldn't even consider that top shelf. I consider that, average.
Yeah.
And that's it's like, they're up here, the dispensaries have to actually grow their own stuff. They can't bring it in from anywhere else. They're not buying it from anywhere else. They have to have their own facilities creating what they're selling. So,
okay.
a lot of these places up here, they're just not, they're growing for yield. They're not growing necessarily for quality.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you don't know what they're putting. That's another thing why I like growing myself is I don't know what they're using for nutrients. I'm assuming they're using synthetic, you know, and I know Mega Crop is not necessarily organic or whatever, but at least I know what's going into there. I know I'm not putting PGRs into my thing to get these crazy dense buds, which are now loaded with these chemicals, which who knows over the years how that's going to affect your body.
Right. Yeah. I like back to Mega Crop because you just mentioned it again, like, because I know we got off on a tangent, but I like Mega Crop, dude. I think it's a good product. I think Green Leaf Nutrients makes some good products. In my opinion. The only thing with Mega Crop is it's like really high in nitrogen, and so in flower, like, what do you do in flower?
So in flower, I typically will taper off on that, and I actually add Bud Explosion, which is another product of theirs.
Oh yeah, see, I haven't tried that.
The one thing I like about the Bud Explosion is it actually lowers the pH in the water. So I actually don't have to adjust the pH of the water in flower when I'm adding the Bud Explosion.
Oh, cool.
And so it's kind of like it's giving some. I'm putting less of the actual Mega Crop in there. I cut it down to about a half early on, and then about a quarter later in flower, and then I don't run into the actual, you know, potential for the nitrogen toxicity and things that you can run into at times.
Yeah.
Which I really growing in cocoa, I really haven't had a lot of issues with any kind of deficiencies or you know, toxicities or anything like that. The only time I have is when my pH pen wasn't calibrated, and now it's my fault. You know, I waited too long to calibrate it, and I'm feeding the plants at, like, you know, 5.0, 4.5 pH and just burning the crap out of them because, you know, I was being stupid and not paying attention, and it had been a little longer than it should have been to calibrate. You know, which always calibrate your pens out there, guys.
Yeah, I'm guilty. I need to calibrate mine.
I get a whiteboard now that I write. You know, I have a thing, calibrate pen, on there, and I to remind myself to do it. You know, every month or so. I have enough of the solution that I can do it on a monthly basis.
Yeah. For me, it's not vitally important. But as long, because I already know like what mine is coming out of the tap. That's been pretty consistent for the last several years, actually. When it comes out of my tap, it's like right around 8. So it comes out pretty high. And so I always got to drop it down. Yeah,
mine comes out of the tap between 7.5 and 8. So I know it's the same thing. It's never low. It's always on that higher end.
Yeah.
And you know, you get to a point where you know exactly how much solution you have to put in to get it to about where you need it.
Yeah, what I was gonna say was with you know, having Nature's Living Soil and stuff mixed in there. If I could just get my pH just to hover near 7, you know, it doesn't have to be perfect. It could be high, it could be low a little bit. If I could just get it somewhat neutral, maybe, you know, preferably lower, then everything tends to be okay. That's what they told me, and I found that to be true as well. Right. But yeah, when you're mixing with nutrients and stuff, a lot of the times that'll adjust the pH, and you got to be really careful of that. Exactly.
That's why, you know, I think early on I was a stickler for, I would put, you know, the CalMag in, then I'd shake up the bottle that I'm going to be using, and then I would measure the EC and the ppm and the pH, and all right, I'm where I want on that, okay. And then if I wasn't, I'd pour a little bit out, more water, and measure it again, you know. And now I've gotten to a point where I feed every day, so I know exactly what I need to put in each thing for each one of the plants that, you know, whatever stage it happens to be. I know, okay, I need this for this, this for this, this for this, and I can just do it automatically. But I've been doing it for over 2 years. So, well, actually, almost 2 years. It'll be 2 years in November that I've been doing it. So. It takes some time to get to that point, but you do get to that point. But early on, I think you really should be measuring everything, and you want to dial it in as much as you can so that you know. And once you know, you're all set. And then you really don't even have to half the time I don't have to pH I don't have to look or test to see, okay, what's the pH right now? Because I know it's where it needs to be. I grow in 3 gallon pots. I have grown
really?
in 5. I've grown in much larger pots. Like I said, 15 gallons, the largest I've ever grown in. But in my garden right now, every single one of the pots, with the exception of some of the smaller, like some of the clones I have are in solo cups and stuff like that. But every pot I have is a 3 gallon pot.
And how often do you feed or fertigate, I should say, I guess, once a day or twice a day, or?
Just once a day. I don't have the time to do it more than once a day. I do want to hook up an automated watering system, and I've been saying this forever, but I think now, going through the whole broken leg thing and how difficult that's actually been to continue to care for the plants, I can't do everything that I have been doing all along. I've had to adjust things, and the plants, some of them have suffered because of it. And it's just because I can't feed them the way that I want to feed them. I can't care for them, take them out, look at them, defoliate when I need to, or pull the yellow leaves off, or, take the dead ones off if they need to be. I'm only able to do that like once every 10 days because of the amount of exhaustion that I have actually doing it now. It's crazy the amount of your body's energy that goes into healing itself when you have an injury like that. It's the first couple weeks just walking up the stairs. My room is on the 2nd floor of my house, so just walking up the stairs to do what I needed to do in there, I was completely exhausted. Just walking up the stairs, I have to sit on a chair outside the room just to kind of catch my breath.
Oh man.
Yeah, it was tough. It's gone a lot better, so I'm not complaining, because that was my therapy. That I really feel has helped me to heal and stay mentally there as well through this whole process, which has been pretty trying. But it is what it is, I'm just too old to break things. I gotta
me too.
From now on.
So do you ever have you ever grown in soil, or have you pretty much just stuck to cocoa?
I have actually. I've grown a few different plants in. I use the Michigan M3 super soil, and then I've done a couple things in Happy Frog, where you get that first 3-4 weeks, and then you got to start adding some nutrients to it.
Yeah.
I really want to try a living soil. I would like to be able to do that. The idea of just being able to do just water the plants, once a week, once 5 to 7 days or whatever, sounds extremely appealing to me, especially watering every single day.
Yeah.
But I get such gigantic plants in cocoa compared to what I was getting in the super soils that it's hard. It's hard to go to them. And I honestly, I grew the same cultivar in the Fox Farm, in the Michigan M3, and in cocoa, and I didn't notice a difference. Not in taste. The only difference I noticed was in yield.
Yeah.
So, people always say, oh, you grow organically and it tastes so much better, and you get these terpenes and you get and I honestly didn't notice any kind of difference. So it's hard for me to make that jump if all that's happening is I water them a little less and then I get less yield.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, man. Yeah, just do what's working for you, man. Like, I mean, whatever.
Right, that's the same thing I tell people all the time too. I said, you don't have to listen to what I say. This works
it's different for everyone.
It doesn't mean it's going to work for you.
Yeah, I tried cocoa because I know that you can get much larger plants out of them and stuff. It's basically like a hybrid of growing hydroponically, and so
right.
But yeah, I guess I'm just a soil guy. I don't know what it is. I tried and I just didn't like it, and I don't like having to feed all the time and stuff like that. So I was just like, I just went back to soil. I only gave it a shot like once or twice. I didn't really put too much time into it, but yeah, I mean, it's just whatever works for each of us individually, dude. It doesn't matter.
Exactly. I think the biggest thing is just, if you want to grow.
Yeah, whatever that looks like
for you, and then grow. It doesn't matter if you're growing in cocoa or if you're growing in DWC. If that's what you want to do and that's what works for you, have at it.
Yeah, I actually like
That,
I changed like my little bio or whatever in my Instagram, and I just, since you were saying that, and I just put growing cannabis is for anyone and everyone in whatever way they desire. There is no wrong way as long as it's your way.
right.
You know what I mean?
That's the whole thing. Somebody's going to talk down to somebody else because they're growing in cocoa or growing in soil or using, synthetic nutrients or whatever. You're not smoking their weed. They're smoking their weed. So who cares? They're just doing their thing and getting something out of it for themselves and for their family or whatever. And, nobody has the right to judge anybody else on anything in life.
Yeah,
You know,
there was a recent grow where I was helping somebody else learn how to grow, and all that they had available at the time in the middle of the winter, and they're just, you know, out in bumfuck Egypt
neck of the woods.
where they were living. The only soil that I could get my hands on was Miracle Grow, literally.
Oh,
And it was at some off the wall, like mom and pop owned lumber yard. It wasn't even
wow.
like a Walmart. They didn't have any soil at all. The Walmart that they had there, it was just,
Wow.
it was crazy. So anyways, but because a lot of people are just like, oh, you can't do, and I don't suggest that people grow in Miracle Grow by any means, but
Right.
but dude, I mean, that's what was available, and I got to tell you, man, like it turned out pretty well. I gotta say.
There are people that say you can't. No, it's not that you can't. It's not ideal, of course.
Sure.
But you can grow in anything. I grew in manure, my first grow outside.
Did you?
Yeah, that's what it was. It was just a compost. It was a compost from the freaking place. It had like big chunks of cow shit in it.
Yeah.
Whatever. Hey, it worked. I got a huge yield out of it, and that's really the only organic other than the Michigan mix. That's the only real organic grow that I've ever done.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty organic.
Yeah, I'm not, I do enjoy growing like I almost don't like using the word organic because it's got different meanings and there's like a threshold to that. And is it,
Right.
OMRI listed or, USDA and the food and all that.
Right.
I prefer to like go natural, as natural as I can, but I'm not against nutrients either. I don't know how all that works. I know PGRs, like you were saying, aren't good, but like, I don't know the chemistry and the biology of if a plant uptakes a molecular chemical that was fabricated in this way rather than this way. Like, it's still, I don't know. I want to say, well, if I ate something, I would say like that my body is metabolizing it and doing different things to it, but I don't know what a plant does,
Right.
like it, because it's not the same. Like, because when I first started growing, I was like, oh, I don't want to use bottled newts because, I might as well just drink that stuff. And it's like, that's not necessarily true. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, the plant is uptaking it and it's all energy. It's all transferred energy. Right. It's taking up one form of energy and transforming it and transmutating it into another form of energy, using energy from the light. It's, that photosynthesis or whatever. And,
right.
And so not that I don't really know what I'm talking about, so I don't want people to think I'm all scientific. I'm just a total layman when it comes to this, but just the generalization of it, it makes sense. And so by the time, like, if you're using like some liquid nutrient, by the time like you're actually grinding that flour up and getting ready to smoke it, I don't think it's the same as just, taking a shot glass of the nutrient necessarily, what I mean?
I think you'd be poisoning yourself I think if you took a shot glass of that, where when you're smoking it, some people they swear they can taste the nutrients and they can do this. Oh, was definitely done by Fox Farm, and I don't believe that crap.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, but see, because it could have been me. Like, it's hard to when you do something yourself and you notice something in your own single environment.
Right.
Like, that's just a one-off. Like, that's not like a studied thing in a group of 100 or something like that,
Right.
So, like,
you said that you noticed a difference as far as your Tourette's.
I have.
You would smoke something that was grown synthetically as opposed to organically or naturally.
Some of it. It just depends. I have to be honest. And some of it, yeah. Like when I use Tiger Bloom by Fox Farm, I don't know, but maybe it was it was different for me. But maybe it wasn't the nutrient. Maybe it was me. Maybe it was, maybe I didn't flush well enough. Maybe I didn't, because even with the science and the argument of flushing, it's like, it doesn't actually take anything out of your plant. It's taking stuff out of your soil. And so
exactly.
But for
you're
some
not smoking the roots.
Yeah, but however, it is, pretty, and the general consensus is that, and I have to agree that when you do flush, when you're using synthetic nutrients, for some reason, it's less harsh. I don't know why. I don't know. They've proven, I think, that it's not because you're flushing any chemicals out, but there's something else going on there, and there's something else. And I've watched some videos of it on YouTube with some lab and how it has something to do with something else, some other factor in the shock factor in the plant or something like that, But anyways, it's, needless to say, when I was using Tiger Bloom when I first started growing, I did notice a difference, but I can't just sit here and objectively say, oh, it was Tiger Bloom. It was the liquid nutrients. It could have been me. It could have been my flushing. It could have just been my drying and my curing, which is huge.
There's a lot of factors that could have been involved.
Yeah. Right? So I think
and that
I
could
might
have been one of many factors too. It could have been a combination of things. You don't know, without repeating that process over and over, like you said, with hundreds of people. And I think as legalization becomes more and more throughout the country, and when we get to the point of federal legalization and universities and things can start to do more studies, and I think we'll find, more actual real science instead of just bro science. I look forward to that day to find out, hey, this is actually true, and this is why.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know what's up with all that, man. I think I might have kind of spoken too soon on that in the past on some episodes, kind of foot and mouth later on now, but that's okay. I mean, we live and we learn, but I don't use Tiger Bloom.
We're learning every day. So it's
I'd still prefer. The reason I didn't like using Tiger Bloom, the number one reason I even stopped using it when I was a new grower was because it was so easy for me to burn the crap out of my plants.
Right.
Because it's so concentrated. So when I switched over to like green leaf nutrients and started using Mega Crop, that was a little more natural for me. It wasn't necessarily like a false chemical in a bottle so much. It's got some natural. It's got a lot of natural ingredients and stuff in it. I think
it's vegan, so a lot of the same processes for organic are vegan processes as well. So it may not be certified organic, but I feel a lot better using that over something that's completely synthetic.
Right. And that was my point a few minutes ago. It's like, it might not be branded Omri listed or whatever, but it's a little more natural, so to speak,
Exactly.
But I mean, whatever works, man. Like if someone out there listening is using Tiger Bloom, don't stop just because I said something. If it's working for you, like who the hell am I to tell you to not use something? You know what I mean? Like if you like it, then use it. If you love growing a Miracle Grow and that's your thing, I'm not going to judge you.
Right. Do it.
I don't care.
Just keep growing. Just keep growing. Enjoy the process. Keep growing. Make your own stuff. Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't shout out my tester team. So I just want to really quickly say, you guys are awesome, and I appreciate everything you guys do.
That's awesome.
Without taking up a lot of time, because they have been absolute joy. We have a group chat on IG that people, they get in there, and it's gone far beyond just reporting different testing things. And I think a lot of the people have actually built friendships through the whole thing, and that's really cool to see. And having a lot of like-minded people that are just awesome.
Hell yeah, it is
to deal with.
Yeah, hell yeah, it is, man. I love the community part of it. When people get together in groups and chat, and I love that. I love it, dude.
100%.
So good. Well, hey, man, thank you so much for giving us your time and sharing your knowledge and kind of what you got going on. And look forward to talking to you again.
All right. I appreciate it, Chad.
All right, brother. Have a good one, man.
Have a great day.
All right, you too, bro. As usual, thank you so much for tuning in, you guys. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys have a wonderful week. Don't forget to follow the Big Green Guy on Instagram, as well as his genetics page, Green Guy Genetics. I love you guys. I'll see you next week. Later.
Nicotine, alcohol, good drugs. Coincidentally, tax drugs. Ooh, how does this fucking work?
The dried leaves and berries are ground up and made into cigarettes by a simple hand machine. The deadly narcotic is thus quickly and easily prepared for its market. The sale of marijuana is even more difficult to detect and halt than the traffic in drugs such as opium, morphine, and heroin.